Sales available now at the Jeep Summer Sales Event. I'm Matt Pauley with the Sports Flash on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio.
Tri-City Sports. Now, by the way, we may be having, in conjunction with Race Week in Bristol, a surprise guest. It's a late guest, but it is, I'll tell you this, it's a she, and she could be joining us at 1 p.m. This will be a surprise guest, but it's a big one. All right? Just going to let you know about that. Your appetite whetted, is it not? Yeah, I bring on the best guests here. Tri-City Sports Now, I'm Marky Billson. I told you that I was going to tell you a little bit about the quarterbacks that will be playing in college football and where they rank as a pro prospect. In other words, Pro Football Focus has ranked every potential starting quarterback in the NCAA, in FBS, and said this is what their pro potential is. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to be a senior or really a guy that might be heading out in the draft. But I don't think there's any surprise on who the top two quarterbacks are, but you may be surprised about once we get down and talk about some of the local people. But first, before I get to that, I want to remind you, you heard the ad for Asian House, and really this is the place you ought to be going for lunch today. Not only does it start rather economically at $5.99 for a Chinese lunch, but you can get 10% off of that just by mentioning my name. You heard about the Happy Box. I had one. It had not only my chicken lo mein, just in the mood for it, but it also had the California roll with sushi. So you had the best of Japan and with Chinese there, the Happy Box meal. And those are rather economical themselves. I mean, they start vegetarian at $9.99. They only go up to about $12.99 or so. And check it out at goasianhouse.com. That's their menu. Open 6 days a week. Monday they take off. But get 10% off just for mentioning my name. Where is this wonderful restaurant serving the best of Japanese and Chinese food? And I mentioned the Chinese lunches begin at $5.99, and that is true. But also check out the I've always said that sushi for lunch. This is, you don't get that midday lull because it's rice, it's fish, it's a lot of protein. So you keep going. It's not that filling. You keep going throughout the day. It's not that when you go at 2:30 or 3 and you're like, coffee, when is 5? And you start falling asleep on your way to home, and where's the soda pop? None of those things. No. This is not caffeinated. No, that's not what this is like, okay? The sushi for lunch, I'm telling you, keeps you going. A lot of protein there, and it's 10% off if you mention me, Marky Billson, my name. Heard it on the radio, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, or maybe you heard about it on jetbroadcasting.live, or our ever-expanding Facebook page, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. We're almost now at 2,000 followers. Beginning of the day, we were at 1,987 followers. We are the most popular Facebook page in the market for any sports radio station, which is really saying something when you consider the signal. I mean, yeah, let's face it, the signal, it's a 5,000 watt tower. There are actually only 3 radio stations, AM radio stations, I should point this out, AM radio stations in Northeast Tennessee. And by that, I limit the borders, not North Carolina, not the Tri-Cities, not Virginia, but Northeast Tennessee in the market, okay, which would be, I guess, going down to about Greenville or so. You take the Tri-Cities, Tennessee, not Tri-Cities, Tennessee, Virginia, but the Tri-Cities, Tennessee. There are only, I know, 3 other radio stations, AM radio stations, with more wattage than what we have here on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. And the people in Irwin know that, and the people in Greenville, and the people in Johnson City, and the people in Elizabethton know that, because that's where the signal goes to. But outside of, then people, they say, it's tough to hear it there. But, well, then go to www.jetbroadcasting.live. Go there. Or watch us on Facebook. Watch my show on Facebook, live or archived. had some problems with the internet yesterday. We could only get part of the show on, just about 20% of it on, but still it's there. I mean, talking about Charlie Manuel and all those. Phillies won yesterday, so did the Braves. Oh, let's talk about the Braves. The bullpen stinks, everybody's injured, all this. They're still a week's worth of games ahead of their competition, and they're beating the Mets, who are red hot and were competing for a playoff berth. Next they go play the Dodgers. Last week they took 2 out of 3 from the Twins. Braves appear to be elite. Yeah, there are bullpen questions. Yeah, there are injury questions. There aren't a whole lot of questions when you win ball games. So, take it for that. Who will be winning ball games in the NFL? It's playing college football as a quarterback right now. That's the question that I teased you with coming back. And specifically I asked, where does Jared Guarantano rank as a pro prospect? Now, Pro Football Focus, that's a great site, theoretically at least, if you want to know, for instance, they'll grade offensive linemen. And it's probably where, when people want to know who's the best offensive lineman, Pro Football Focus is probably the site most people, the source most people, certainly in the media, use. Now, last year we had Dan Kilgore on, Dobbins Bennett product, and now with the Miami Dolphins, and he said, I do not like PFF. You know, I don't trust those rankings and all that. Well, what? I mean, you know, it's not like linemen get yardage gained. I mean, you know, this. How do you suggest that we grade the linemen? Now, you know, what's the more accurate is what the team itself grades you. I'll buy it. I mean, you know, certainly that's what they're deciding, whether they keep you or not. And I said, well, Daniel Kilgore, I mean, we may not be getting access to what the team is grading you on. Would you suggest that the team itself release the rankings that they give for linemen? He says, absolutely. Interesting. But until they do that, then it's PFF. And anyway, Pro Football Focus, they're looking at basically scouting the quarterbacks in the NFL. Or who will play. Well, they scout them in the NFL, but who will be playing in the NFL. Let me speak clearly there. No surprise, really, who the top prospect is. Trevor Lawrence, Clemson Tigers. Then comes Tua, Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, there's no surprise there. Now, neither of these guys may be in next year's NFL draft. That's the little dirty secret there. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence and Tua. Tungo Vailoa. Yeah, those are the guys, the top 2 prospects, even if they're not coming out of this year's draft. But Tua may. I mean, it's very possible he could. However, where does Jared Guarantano? And I was really surprised about this. Pro Football Focus says that currently in college football, major college football, Jared Guarantano, 21st best pro prospect in major college football among the 130 major college football teams, FBS. The write-up is that Guarantano's performance against Kentucky was the highest-graded single-game outing among returning quarterbacks. You'd think that maybe then the Vols would have scored more than 27 points, but, you know, here we go. He showcased what made him such a highly touted recruit as number 1 dual-threat QB from New Jersey and number 2 player overall from his state. Marked improvement from 2017 to 2018 gives reason for hope for a big season in Knoxville this year. First of all, I'm not sure the marked improvement. I'm not sure about that. Yes, big game against Auburn. They like his rating against Kentucky, although right after that, what happened? You know, I mean, there was, what? You know, first of all, didn't they hit it, get a little bit lucky with a Hail Mary pass there against UK? Second of all, what happened against Vanderbilt? What happened against Charlotte? What happened against Missouri right after that? So I'm not completely sold. I've always said this. I'm not completely sold on Guarantano, but the interesting thing is that Pro Football Focus actually rates Guarantano ahead of Adrian Martinez of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the one that got away from Tennessee, and the one that so many think will lead the Cornhuskers back to prominence. Pro Football Focus writes, Martinez looked more and more like the next big thing for the Cornhuskers as the last season wore on. He improved his game grades down the stretch, put forth some big numbers both on the ground and through the air as Nebraska's offense turned the corner in Scott Frost's debut year. On the ground, Martinez got 29 tacklers to miss him, gained almost 4 yards after the contact per carry, and through the air he threw for 2,600 yards and a combined 132 first downs and touchdowns. Boy, that's a stat right there, right? I mean, what in the world does that mean? 132 first downs and touchdowns. That sounds to me like you're kind of a dink and dunker, to tell you the truth. 20 big-time throws, 25th most among returning quarterbacks compared to just 11 turnover-worthy passes. Well, it's obvious that Pro Football Focus is very much leaning towards do not have no turnovers. And that's where the game is going right there. I've always said Neil O'Donnell was ahead of his time. He was the least likeliest quarterback to ever be intercepted prior to Aaron Rodgers in the NFL, if you're not familiar. So, yeah. Anyway, and by the way, 99, Titans Super Bowl year. Titans are 1-1. O'Donnell comes in as a backup, wins 4 straight games. I'm convinced they don't go to the Super Bowl without Neil O'Donnell. So I'm convinced the Steelers don't in 95 either, and even though he's been unfairly called a GOAT in that game, in my opinion. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. We're going to talk about contemporary things and not so much what happened a generation ago. But it's kind of interesting. Some of the local quarterbacks that are ranked, I'm not sure I would put Guarantano ahead as a pro prospect ahead of Martinez. I mean, who do you think would ever be saying that? The Vols wanted Martinez. Come on. Also, those teams that pre-FF, Pro Football Focus, they kind of like the running quarterbacks, maybe a little more than I do. But we'll go through some of the SEC picks, and I'll tell you what I think of them when we come back. Before that, I want to tell you all about that 1420 WEMB Sports Radio Facebook page. If you haven't already, we're giving away 2 tickets to the fair. All you got to do, like us on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. Yes, we're giving away tickets to the Appalachian Fair. All you got to do, go on that Facebook page, right beneath, you'll see where it is, the photo, that's fair, and then share this photo. We're giving away tickets to the Appalachian Fair. We want you to go on us. So just go to the Facebook page, like us, and you'll see how. And we are just about, by the way, there is actually one other sports broadcasting entity. It's all online, and they do have a Facebook presence. They do have more likes than we are, but we are almost there catching up with them. But in terms of over-the-air radio stations, yes, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, the most liked sports radio station on Facebook in the market. So there you go. I'm Marky Billson. A little bit more of these rankings when we come back. Also want to talk about Jay-Z's involvement in the NFL. And we could be having a surprise guest at one who's big time